Hello. Oh, how are we all doing tonight? I'm doing kind of. I was gonna say I'm doing crazy. I'm not doing crazy. I'm doing just fine. Uh, the my energy, not necessarily the energy. My energy tonight has been crazy. I have been like energetically bouncing off the walls. uh, I was just like, hello, hello, hi, Lid, how you doing? Uh, yeah, I was lighting all of my candles and everything. I did a lot of candles today. I didn't do everybody. Um, but like I was lighting Hermes' candle. I was like, "Hi ho, Hermes, what is up, my guy? Welcome, welcome." Like I was straight up just like, "Come on down, have a party." uh, that is odd. I hope that everything's all right. Yeah, I was, yeah, Hermes party, lighting Apollo's candle. I was just straight up like I was just singing and dancing and just Apolloing. I don't even know. I was literally like, I need to remember. Okay, are we good near? Are you good now? I was talking to like briefly talking. Yeah, we have both kittens. One kitten is in lap, and one kitten is seeking attention. Uh, um, yeah, I was like lighting Apollo's candle. I was just like, "Hi ho, Apollo! Hi ho, Apollo!" I was like chanting and vibing, and I was just like, I was having a grand old time. Uh, uh, I don't know, Apolloing, just being the Apollo vibe, having a grand time, being chatty and singy and whatever. Young man, would you like? How would you like affection today? Because right now you're just like all up in my shit, which is all right. You're allowed, but yeah, I was just Hermes vibing, partying, Apollo vibing, partying. I lit Odin's candle, and I was just like, because I just it's one of those things that like I don't necessarily make rituals out of like invoking gods. I don't necessarily, or at least these my on a normal on my everyday. If I'm like actually trying to invoke somebody new, I'm gonna put a little more effort and a little more ritual into it. But if I'm just like if it's just my crew that I'm used to and they're used to me, I'm just like, all right, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna fuck around and do whatever. But just today was just more energy. So Odin's ritual, excuse me, Odin's ritual is just me going, Warden, Warden, like calling him like he's a dog or something, which I mean, he doesn't seem to mind. I did realize while I was doing this, and it also made me laugh. When I made Odin's candle and I realized about the lighting and the angle and stuff. You might not be able to see it, but the little crown that I drew on his candle, um, functions as like a W because it's like Odin, but it's Woden. I don't know how to accent that correctly, but it's Odin and Woden are both correct, I think. Hold on, literally, let me look that up. Yeah, they all know me well enough at this point. Odin was hanging around for years before he even got a candle. He knows what's up. He's fine. Um, yeah, Woden is just also Odin. Yeah, same diff. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was anybody different, but I was just like, let me make sure that I'm not fully making this up. But yeah, so the little, thank you. I thought it was something like that. Old variation of the name. Cool. So yes, the little crown that I drew on his thing, which is just the like do kind of crown, has a fucking W in it. So that's just extra funny. Can I safely pick this up and put it back down? It's like, so it's got like the spikes are the W, so his candle is Woden. Oh, everything's fine. um, so that really made me laugh, because when I was doing the candle, I did it on live, and then it was like, put a crown on it, and I was like, what? Okay, whatever. And I did it, and I'm like, oh, it's literally just the other version of your name. I thought that was hilarious. I am also in the camp of, I basically have just retained enough Norse shit. Warden. To know those kinds of things. I'm like, this is why I kind of resisted working with Odin, because I don't know the mythology well enough. I know it somewhat well. I know it better than I know, like, yeah. I know it better than I know some places, but, and like some cultures and things, but I just don't know it that well. But he was very persistent. So he got his candle, and we talk more now. But, and then I was also like, I lit the Jupiter candle, which also, the other name for Jupiter being Jove, right? So I was doing his planetary prayer, because it's Thursday. Thursday is Jupiter's day. Technically, when it's after sunset, then it like switches to night and planetary hours and blah, 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 blah. But regardless, so I don't do this every Thursday, but I used to do it every Thursday. Hi, Christina. How you doing? I used to do it every Thursday, that I would do the planetary prayer to Jupiter. And I'd do it in Thursday mornings, and I would do it Sunday evenings, because Sunday night is Jupiter night. Again, based on planetary hours. The planetary hours are a whole tangent I don't think I've ever properly explained. If you guys are curious, I can try to get into it, but it's not important to the story here. But, so I was just doing the thing, which I haven't done in a while. And part of what Jupiter's all about, right, is this sort of like grand expansion level of presentation. Last concert of the year's over. That's excellent. I hope it went amazing. I know that was stressful, but I hope that it was wonderful and worth it, and everybody had a good, grand old time. But yeah, so I was just like, I was really saying that planetary prayer with a little extra spice today. So I'm just like, yeah, this is what I mean. I'm like, my energy is just fucking crazy right now. In a good way. In a completely fine and normal way. I did have a coffee after dinner, because that has become a slight requirement. Chaotic, but went well. That's approximately what I expected. I'm glad that we'll take that, right? We'll take that outcome. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Yeah, I was gonna light Aphrodite's, and it was kind of like, you don't have to, it's okay. So I was like, okay, great. But, yeah, so Apollo, Hermes, Odin, Jupiter, all lit with a little bit of spice. And I had fun. So I was like, I'll tell you all about it, because it was just, that's just where my energy's at. And that's just what we're doing today. I'm still, in the back of my head, I'm chanting the little Apollo thing to the hi ho Apollo, hi ho Apollo. Anyway, this live in particular is probably going to be peak, like, we're basically just on a one-sided FaceTime right now, because again, that's just where I'm at this particular moment. The ADHD meds have been an amazing help for work and work days and getting everything done and being more efficient and everything. It means that my nights are usually crazy, because like I'll crash and get tired, and so I've started having coffee after dinner to be like that last little level of perk up. I am in a good mood. I am in a good mood right now. I was tired 30 minutes ago, so it's just like, you know, I think I needed the boost from like the high energy and the doing the candles and talking to gods and shit. Like, I just needed that today, and it made me feel good, because like work is stressful, like home life is like normal, which is to say stressful, you know, like as it always is. So it's just like, yeah, getting over here, doing all this stuff, vibing, has just got me chilled out, for lack of a better term. So yeah, the post dinner coffee, as a new, because I can't have coffee in the morning, because I can't double up on stimulants, so I can only have coffee once the ADHD meds have like worn off for the day. But I love coffee, so anyway, it's just a whole thing. It's my routines and my stuff are all changing. Buddy, that is my special fancy water. That's my special fancy Florida water diluted spray thing. Okay, you can knock it over if you want. Immediately knocked it back over. Okay, yeah, it's just a chaotic kind of day, sir. I went to grab my iPad so I could look at the chart because I was like, is this Uranus? Is this Mercury? I think there is something Mercury happening today. But I went to grab my iPad and Onyx immediately went burp with his paw. Like, no claws or anything, just like, this is mine. I keep this. Yeah, this is just where I'm at today, and I'm taking that as a good sign. Because, like I said, I've been so, like, intellectually, spiritually, everything, I've been so all over the place all week. Again, mostly in a good way, but I was just like, there's a lot of it that just hasn't, there was no other time to let it all out than right now. So y'all are just getting everything that's riding on out of my, whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm looking at the chart. I have too many things on this chart. Like, I've shown you guys the charts before, but like, too many things. I have too many points turned on. Problems of an astrology nerd student thing. Astrology nerd student thing is absolutely what I am. I could not have said it better myself, even if I had said it myself, which I did. Turn off some of these things. Visible minor bodies, turn off. Yeah, still on post-concert come down. I can imagine, especially after a particularly chaotic one, that like, this is the... Yeah, this is why I'm like, I feel like there's gotta be more going on right now. Okay. I'm going to turn off Vortex, and Part of Fortune, because I don't need those right now. Okay, much easier to read chart. Okay. Okay. So that's not what I'm looking for. Mercury is at 23 degrees of Gemini, squaring the nodes. That's fine. That's okay. Sextile Mars. That's what it was. Mercury sextile Mars. Mercury in Gemini, sextile Mars in Leo. Oh, Mars is in Leo. My natal Mars is also in Leo, which is probably why career stuff has been popping up and popping off a little bit the last 2 weeks. I'll take it. Truly, now that I have the ADHD meds and I can handle all of that stuff, it's great. Yeah, I'm going to ignore the fact that I've had coffee, and I'm going to blame Mercury sextile Mars for the hyper chaotic energy. Because seriously, part of this is what? Which what? The Mercury sextile Mars, the Mars in Leo, career in Leo. Gotcha. In my natal chart, my 10th house in a whole sign, whatever, is Leo. No coffee during stimulants. They're all worn off. This is what I don't know, man. I have talked to my person. Everything is supposed to be fine. It's they basically said as long as everything is worn off and out of system, that's okay. And I know it like depends on a little bit on which stimulant, and everything's short release for me. I promise I'm okay. Yes, career, 10th house, Leo. Um, this is the most energetic I have been. I've only had coffee in the evening after meds have worn off for the day 3 times, and this is the most energetic I've been, and it's mostly because I'm doing it live right now. I promise I'm all right. Normally, I'm just like falling asleep at night if I don't have any coffee or anything, you know. Uh, Regardless, it's all right. So yeah, in my natal chart, my 10th house is Leo, Mars in Leo natally. It's a whole 10th house is career and like yeah, like big scale career stuff. So yeah, the fact that Mars is currently in Leo, and what Mars always does is speed things up, intensify things, sometimes in a bad way because it's Mars, but sometimes in a good way. You know, they all have their different aspects and their different sides and different faces. But generally speaking, Mars is a malefic, which makes it worse. But yeah, it's So I'm just pondering because I haven't looked at my in-depth transits for the last 2 weeks. I've just been working. So, you know, that's all I'm talking about. That's all I was going for there. Um, because I mean, all of the other things that are in my brain are much more like in-depth intellectual type things. About like spiritual stuff because I've been thinking a lot about like the academic-ish side of spirituality and like that versus the folk side. Like, you know, if we're talking about we're on more than sides of the same coin, we're talking about like multi-sided things. How about I explain it instead of talking about explaining it? So if I'm looking at spirituality, right, there's the folk view, there's the like ceremonial magician view, which is related to the academic view generally because you're looking into a lot of really academic sources, and then there's the like actual academic like the view that academia has of spirituality and everything, and so the looking at like again some of the background stuff that I've been getting slightly back into listening to one of the old podcasts that I used to listen to that's all chaos magic-y. Even though I disagree with the host on some things, it's just one of those things that like picks at and stimulates the right stuff for me to think about to like wrap my head around the spiritual stuff. But it's very hard to access. It's very hard to get started with that viewpoint of stuff because he's very focused on like philosophy as like a core, or he's not focused on philosophy, but he uses a lot of like philosophical references and a lot of literary references, a lot of it literary, mostly like Tolkien. Regardless, doesn't matter what doesn't matter what the podcast host does, but it's just been making me think about like the way that certain more ceremonial magicians talk about magic and everything, and not even ceremonial, but also chaos magic and everything. There's this weird roundabout where you get to, hello, how you doing, Rebecca? There's this weird roundabout where you get I feel like academic and ceremonial magic viewpoints kind of get into a feedback loop, and there's this whole half joke, half archetype, half this is just a real thing of like the armchair occultist that's been a thing forever, where it's just like somebody who loves, you know, Crowley or loves and any of the old sort of, oh god, I'm gonna get my like historical eras wrong, but like anything post-Renaissance stuff of like post-Renaissance views of magic, in where a lot of those people are looking at like Egyptian texts, and a lot of them are looking at like the Jewish mystical stuff, and they're like combining all of these different areas and viewpoints of magic, whether or not they should be. And I feel like there's a lot of what tends to happen a lot in that circle is that a lot of people start to get really picky about the particulars of magic, which in some places is fair and fine, and in some places it's like weird and unnecessary. Where like if you're talking about astrological magic, which a lot of those people might be using in part, when you get into like specific days and specific times and specific like all of that kind of picky level of magic, totally fine and normal. But if you're getting to like critiquing how people do their own personal rituals and everything, that's kind of where that type of magic tends to sit. So anyway, all that to say, that's one of the reasons that like I sort of started to, I love having all of the background knowledge of all that stuff, but I just kind of had to step away from that whole world and that whole viewpoint on magic for like literally at least, I was gonna say 2 years. I guess it wasn't quite 2 whole years that I was like not engaging with that side of things, but it's just, there's a reason that I'm very big on we're all intuitives here, right? Like we're all developing whatever we're developing and working on our stuff however we're working on it. And there are things, if you're trying to do that version of magic that has these very prescriptive like grimoires and these very specific things, there's a way to do that wrong, because the right way is in the grimoire. That doesn't mean that you can't work around the grimoire if you know what you're doing and blah blah blah, but most of us aren't doing that. Most of us are not, in this general side of spiritual community, are not digging into old grimoires and are not, working on that path in that way. And there's so few people who do work in that way that I've met that I like. And there are some. And there are some that are wonderful and amazing. I'm flip-flopping back and forth a little bit. I am referencing ceremonial magic through a sort of chaos magic lens right now is what's happening. Because there's so much in chaos magic where like core tenets of chaos magic involve like belief shifting, right? And like ultimately the magic that works is the magic that you like believe in and work on and do, like with this like full, like it's not like Crowley where he's just like, what does it, do what thou wilt and that shall be the whole of the law or whatever. Like it's very big on like all the Crowley shit is all very like based on will and based on like internal thing to meet your holy guardian angel and all this shit. And it's very prescriptive and it's very like limiting to the path that you can take with magic, in my opinion. But some people love that path, and that's fine. So I'm as someone who like started as a witch, got into chaos magic, learned a bunch of stuff about ceremonial magic, and has like kind of come back to this point where I'm just like, I just live in the magic soup all the time. I just like live intentionally in magic soup. And sometimes I'm doing spells. Honestly, not that often. Sometimes I'm doing sigils. Which like I got a new sigil job the other day, which is gonna be really fun to get that done. But like, I guess ultimately I'm just kind of I'm critiquing the approach that a lot of ceremonial magicians have to magic, because it feels like a limiting, it feels like they are basing their entire system on limiting beliefs. Because like if you can work in a chaos magic system, a lot of what you're doing is belief shifting on purpose, and you're like looking into some of these like some of these magical theories and dynamics and things. But if you get too deep into any of these things, maybe I should start saying maybe I keep saying, then you will have this experience. I shouldn't be speaking like that. I should be speaking from my perspective of, the more in-depth I get with chaos magic and chaos magic theory and like how that system works. I said chaos magic theory and Siri said me, and I said no. uh, the more that I start to feel restrained by these things that are ultimately meant to just be working and just be magic. Because there are so many ways to believe in spirit and like the magical life, whatever it may be. But it's just like, yeah, if you get so deep into the belief shifting stuff, you start only working in the one avenue, and then maybe you should do another belief shift thing. Maybe you can hold this space for yourself where you can have all of these things. You can switch between them like a... I've also been very getting back into electric guitar, so like you can switch into different belief modalities. Like you can switch a guitar pickup and you just go, and then it's the new one, right? And I think this is where like I love and hate both chaos magic and ceremonial magic, because you start to get railroaded. Whereas ultimately, like, there are so many people, so many folk, right? Like, there's so much folk magic that has worked for so long and has worked so well for so many people without 90% of those rules. And I think that's... I've been rambling about this for at least 10 minutes. But, like, that's my core point that I'm trying to get to of... I just love magic, and I like what chaos magic can do and what it can offer. I like some of the ideas and things that are in ceremonial magic. But if you start focusing... And maybe this is a I know the rules so I can break them kind of thing, but from my perspective, the more that I focus on the system itself, the less real magic I can fucking do. The more that I'm like, I'm using this modality, I'm using this belief system, I am practicing within this sphere, the more I feel like not only, like it's good to, if you're going to do that, it's good to learn as much as possible and get in as deep as you can, more or less, within reason, like safely, and just gonna throw this out there, mental health, stable, everything, etc. Hello. But yeah, I'm just... I'm such a fan of folk magic because it is what the folk do. Like, folk magic is so real and so valid and has worked for so long and done so much for people. And its objectives are different than ceremonial magic. Yeah, it's like base of the belief systems are indiscriminately diverse. There's a reason that huge chunks of folk magic are based in Catholicism, because Catholicism just covered it up. But like, it's the magic's still there and the magic still works, whether you're using the old gods or whether you're using the saints or whether you're doing it on your own. There's just like there's a lot of benefit to learning and growing in a magical system. But I'm just such a magic mutt. Oh, you're fine, Vesta. Happy to see ya. I am deep in my magical theory ranting. Because I'm just... Yeah. I love all of these modalities of magic, but it feels like there is, dogma. It feels like there is limitations to some of these things that people talk about. These grand experiences that you can have if you do it this way. And like, I swear I am 90% convinced that if I did all the crazy Abramelin shit that's all in ceremonial magic of like meeting your holy guardian angel and you're doing all this shit, blah, 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 blah. I'm 95% sure that if I did that, I would just meet one of the entities that I've already met. and I didn't have to do all that shit. And it's not that doing all that shit is bad. Well, some of it's bad. Doesn't matter. Some of it's questionable. But I love living in a magical world. I love living in a magical universe. And I love understanding that magic works for everybody. And for some people it works differently than it does for other people. And that's how it's supposed to be. Because ultimately magic is magic and spirit is alive. And the world is so much more alive than people want to think it is most of the time. So it's great to learn a modality. It's great to commit to, like, understanding these intricacies. And, like, I'm saying all this stuff. The first fucking thing I did as any kind of magical practitioner was try to understand the in-depth, picky, little nitpicky bits about what makes spellcraft and witchcraft and all this stuff work. I was deep diving into I've talked about this before. I never wanted to be a get a spell book, do the spell kind of person. I wanted to be a, like, look at the stuff, like start with the idea, find the stuff that achieves that idea, and do the spell, not just intuitively, but yes, intuitively, but, like, based in the system. And I feel like I've spent so much time learning different systems that I'm currently at the point where I'm like, none of it fucking matters. All of it matters. All of it's great for belief, like, growth, experience, whatever. All of the things that I've meddled in and messed around with are great for giving me more experiences and giving me some level of spiritual growth. But I don't think I'll ever be a true ceremonial magician. I don't think I'll ever be a true chaos magician. I don't think I'll ever be any of those things, because ultimately I just believe that, like, the world, the universe, everything is alive, and that's how anybody gets anything fucking done. So there are plenty of different beliefs on, like, what spirits you need to call and what it'll take to get the spirits to listen to you, and what do you need to do here and what do you need to do there. And I'm just like, ultimately, if you just engage with the world and give it a solid fucking go, it's gonna be fine, and your magic's gonna work, your abilities are gonna, like, kick in, like, I had a number of entities, mostly guides, obviously, that helped me kick in and kick on, like, my abilities at different points and to different degrees. But, like, ultimately you just have to engage with the world and it's gonna be okay. And the rant is winding down a little bit. Honestly, I could tangent back off, but I've not read almost any of the comments that you guys have made, so I'm gonna read those and try to pull it back in. But this is just what I mean, where I'm like, my brain has been kicking in this vein all week, and I have so many thoughts of, like, I love ceremony for people who love ceremony. We love rules, we love structure, like, that's great. But I'm just like, ultimately, just everything. If you engage with spirit and spirits and life and everything, it's gonna work. It's gonna be okay. And if something doesn't work, there's probably a reason, meaning, like, maybe it works differently, maybe there's a phrasing thing. That's why I'm such a stickler for phrasing on any working that I'm doing, so I digress. Yeah. Yeah, it's the funny thing about chaos magic theory, as someone who kind of agrees that, like, it's ultimately restricting, is that the idea of chaos magic would be that you can make any of these systems work for you, ultimately. Like, chaos magic is trying to take all of the operable bits out of systems that exist and essentially put in the lowest level of, like, real magic to make these operable bits functional in, like, a person's working. And I'm just like, I understand where that comes from, and I have done some of that. I continue to do some of that at various points for various reasons. But think that if you engage honestly with like the materials you're working with, the entities that you're working with, whatever, you're gonna come out with a better result than trying to do this huge shift and take all of these bits and pieces of somebody else's system to make your thing work, you know? So I'm just like, I love the idea of chaos magic, but I just feel like it never quite hits the way it's supposed to. Yeah, the whole point is to not have dogma, but they have a lot of dogma. Yeah, especially, lordy, the ceremonial magicians. And like they have a hierarchy in like some more formal settings, but it's just like it's just not worth it. Yeah. I already know enough spirits and deities. I don't need to miss ceremony to meet more. And because that's the thing, because you will meet more, and you will do more stuff, and there will be more spirits around, and like, I'm still getting to know like my guides, like as somebody who's done a lot of shit. I'm still getting to know my guides. And obviously, like sometimes you have new guides, sometimes old guides leave, whatever. There's a bit of a changing of the guard, but like the entities that I interact the most directly with the most often, I'm still like getting to know what they do and what they're for and what they like to help with. And I'm like, I don't need to summon the 78th Angel of Venus right now. I'm okay. Like that's I don't even know. That's a whole, I'm going to leave that there, but I'm just like, I'm constantly meeting new spirits and finding new things, and like, there are some people, if I need help, like, my people will help me, right? My spirit team, my gods, my whatever, will, like, make the connections and make the networking happen, you know? Like, ultimately, if I need an introduction, I can probably ask for one. And it's much easier than doing this whole thing. I digress once again. It's not that the easy way is always the right way, but it's also like networking is networking. Spirits are beings. Spirits have relationships with each other. Like it's gonna be okay. I have directly made spirit-based networking connections. I have introduced spirits to gods. I've done. We're all part of this. We're all part of this network. So like, just take like, and as somebody who hates real life networking, it's so funny to say, right? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm so much more comfortable dealing with and communicating with and talking to spirits and networking with spirits and things than I am with people. And I know some of y'all are gonna relate to that. Maybe all of you guys. I don't know. I'm so much more comfortable communicating with spirits and gods and things than I am with humans, and that includes dead ones. I've talked before about how like ghosts are just not my thing. I just don't talk to that many ghosts. I talk to ancestors and like past loved ones and whatever, but I don't like go to a place to talk to the ghosts personally. Because I'm just like, because those are people still. Like, and that's why I'm like, you should respect ghosts and you should like understand if there's like complicated things going on. But like ultimately, that's just not what I'm here to do. It's not what I'm here to do. It's not what I'm there to do. You know? Like, yeah. I'm not trying to get caught up in everybody's people shit. I'm trying to, like, make my way through, help my people, help myself get through, like, develop myself, develop my people as much as possible, like, help my guides and help my everything. Because they're all with us for a reason, too, right? Like, there is something to be said about, like, your guides, you don't owe your guides anything, but if you and your guides work well together, your guides will probably get some kind of something, you know? So I'm just much easier to deal with deities than coworkers, exactly. It's just, ooh, yes, bring the fun back into magic. Yes. Magic's real. Magic's also fun. Magic is like magic is playing with the universe, for lack of a better term. Like, it's supposed to be engaging and fun and natural, and it's supposed to be weird because it's magic. It's spirit. This is all of this is weird to our like base level of humanness, but it's also natural to our base level of spiritness. We are all spirits in bodies, and like all of this stuff here is weird. But if you are like this again, this is why this channel and this stuff is called Spirits in Training. If you are like in tune with your own spirit, and that doesn't mean you have to like, you should, as much as you can, like, know thyself, whatever, talk to your higher self, like, meet them, do whatever, like, but as long as you are in tune with the spirit of yourself, the rest of the spirit stuff comes pretty naturally. And you don't have to be on the exact same page, you just have to be resonating with, right? So, it's just... I love this shit because it's, like, it's so simple, but there's so much to it. Like, it's so easy, but there's so many bits and bobs that you can mess with and you can change. And it's just, it's exciting, and it's fun, and it's weird, and it's... You should play with it. Make magic Play-Doh. I don't fucking know. Like, magical inks, like, imbue your paper with whatever, right? Like, find a new herb and just see what fucking happens. Like, maybe don't toss anything super high stakes on seeing whatever the fuck this herb does, but like, just play with it. Just figure it out. It's okay. It's fun. It's supposed to be this way, you know? Yeah, people do get too caught up doing things a specific way. Yeah, they're so scared to do something wrong. That's like a core thing of what I'm trying to do here and what I'm trying to say, right? Like, I don't want any of you to be afraid of doing something wrong. I just want you to be genuinely trying to do it right, right? If you're really trying and you are doing something wrong, you'll figure it out. It'll be okay. Like, this thing of the other thing that I've been getting back into, I've been watching a show that I watched years ago and I never watched the last season of, called The Last Kingdom. It's on Netflix. You guys probably seen it some hanging around. But like, it's all based on like, it's a historical fiction on like England and Saxons and Danes and fighting and war and peace and blah 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 blah, blah political, etc. Right? But it's so funny there seeing the things that like the Danes in the show are like, you know, you would be slighting the gods if you did this or if you didn't do this, and they're like huge fucking things. They're like, you know, it would be a slight to the gods to not take this huge offer or whatever. And like, obviously these are people, like just other people. It's a good show. I like it. They're like people trying to get you to take whatever opportunity that may or may not have anything to do with the gods, right? Whereas like the things that like there is a presence of the gods in that show where you can see the actual signs and you can see the actual like moments that do matter to the gods and that you've like done whatever and it's worked for them or they're working with you, or like you can see and understand and interpret those moments where the gods are actually involved versus when people are just saying shit about the gods. But it's just it's got me back on this kick of like, you know, Apollo's not going to be mad at you because you like drew his symbol wrong or something, you know? Like people get really caught up on TikTok and on everywhere else on the internet about like, are the gods mad at me because I did blank? Like if you go on the various like deity like pagan-y Reddits, like the Hellenism Reddits or the Norse Reddits or whatever, they're all like, is this god mad at me because I did this and this seems weird? It's like, well, I mean, first of all, do the same thing as always. Do some divination, figure out what happened, talk to your guides, see what they think, right? Like, your guides are going to be a lot more help than Reddit is. But, it's this whole thing of, like, the things that the gods would be mad about are so much bigger than what happens to any of us on a given Tuesday. Wait, I promised. Wait, were there safety scissors in season 3? I didn't. I haven't. I'm just now watching the last season that came out in like 2022 or 2023 or whatever it was. So I haven't. I didn't rewatch the entire season or the entire show because I watched all of the other seasons literal years ago. But yeah, it's just. I don't know. I should get back to the chat and read some of this stuff again, but I'm just. This is what I mean. Like, if you're just genuinely trying and you're talking to your spirit team, and you're talking to, like, it's just, you're gonna be okay. Live in a magical world, do some magic, fuck around and find out. If you do fuck up, fix it. It'll be okay. No, Zeus is not gonna smite you because you made a joke. Lord knows everybody has made jokes about Zeus. There are too many to make. It's gonna be fine. Okay. I'm gonna come back to whatever question this is, Blid, but I want to finish out this train of thought here. Just do kid stuff kid me would find fun. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There is a lot of. I think there's a lot to be said about like inner child work, and I think there's also a lot to be said where the intersection of like inner child work and just living authentically are kind of the same thing. Like, I will occasionally do things that are like for my inner child, but I often feel like if I'm just living authentically to myself, I am like, at the very least, like doing some level of justice to my inner child, right? Like, if I'm having fun at all, that's inner child work. I'm like, I'm just such a diehard on the like intuition, divination, live authentically, try to live in like resonance with stuff and with your beings, with your world, with your home, with your whatever. Like, I love the spirits of stuff. I do think this is a whole tangent that I won't go on right now, but I think I've briefly talked about this before, but like, there's a whole thing about like plant spirits and plant spirit medicines and all these things, and I'm like, the medications that we do take that we just like get from the pharmacy that are not necessarily the plant anymore are still things that are still entities and are still beings. They're not the same beings that they were when they were plants. The thing that's in the little pill is not the same thing that was in the plant that chemical compound came from, because it's like synthesized and it's whatever. Like, that's fine. That thing and that like that literal formulation of chemicals and like in the medication makes it its own spirit and its own being and its own thing that you can kind of like interact with in a at least slightly subtly deeper way than just taking your meds. This is why before I got the ADHD meds, I was like, I'm excited to see how I interact with this thing and what relationship I build with this thing, because it's not just like, I said I wasn't going to go down this rabbit hole. I have a lot of, I just believe everything's alive. I believe everything has a spirit. That's like that is like the core belief that I have. And that's why, like, before anything else, I say that I'm an animist, because that's basically what that means. Like, for lack of any further subtlety on that at the moment, So it's okay. Everything's alive. Everything's spirit. Talk to spirits. Be real. Do your shit. I can't believe the safety scissors. That's hilarious. I'm gonna have to look that up after this. If he doesn't smite you, then it very quickly isn't your problem anymore. Love that. Okay. Slightly silly question, not directly related to topic. Repeating numbers and... yes. Repeating numbers, symmetrical numbers, whenever you feel like touching on these. Yeah. If you have a more specific question, Lid, go for it. But yeah, I can babble about that. I believe every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. Exactly. But like literally, yeah. And I need to make a real video. I'm gonna try to sit down this weekend and like write some videos and try to like think of like, I know how I want to produce videos and what I want them to look like, but I just haven't been able to execute that for a long time. So I'm hoping that I can maybe get that done the way that I want to now that I have the new stuff. But I need to make at some point a video on spirit structure, because I've talked about how like the tarot decks, like there's the spirit of the tarot, there's like the spirit of the deck that like the like printing the deck that the artist made, there's the spirit of the specific deck that you have, like there's this structural spirit thing, the like not a hierarchy but a lineage, right, of like spirit sort of breakdown. Same thing applies to crystals. So like there's a spirit of labradorite and there's a spirit of your specific labradorite that's in your hand right now, right? Like I'm heavy on that. Every rock and tree and spirit has a creature, but you know, you get it. Yes. So numbers, repeating numbers, etc. So I do use that very, very simply as a sign from my guides sometimes. The idea of like angel numbers and that term for it, I believe, came directly from Doreen Virtue, who is, you know, the people loved Doreen Virtue for a long time, and then I think she's the one who ended up going like renouncing everything and going full Christian at the end of her life, and really just like total weird. So angel numbers as a concept was ultimately comes down to like that one person. So that's your like 111, 999, you know, 3333. Yes, I do. I wasn't even obsessed with Pocahontas the movie as a kid. I was obsessed specifically with Colors of the Wind. You get me, you know. Anyway, so I will use repeating numbers as a symbol from my guides, like from time to time. I did it a lot for a while, and it started to get to the point where I was like, I don't feel like 414, yeah, 41414, yeah, okay. When you get into the deep, deep depths of numerology, excuse me, which I have not researched thoroughly, I've only fucked around with, you know? Angel numbers as a concept, very little to no actual affiliation with angels. Just to start there. But an angel can send you an angel number, so can a demon, so can any other guide, you know, like so can a fae, like whatever, you know. Angels are not the only people who can send you a numerical sign, right? Like, so I full transparency here, I straight up just like have like some bias against using numbers as like a legitimate real sign and like a full communication, unless you're doing something like actually this would be sick. If you are really a big numerology person, I would love to get like 5d10s and roll your 5d10s and see what comes out of that and like mess with the system like that. That sounds like a lot of fucking fun to me. As far as like repeating numbers, is it a 14141 or whatever? Like that sounds like a lot more fun to me than what I found as I was using repeating numbers as a sign, and like I was talking to my guides at 55555 right now. Anyway, on the live. I would see it here, and then I would see it here and here, and then I would see it like literally everywhere, but like in a way that felt inauthentic. Like at the point that I started looking at it on license plates, and then I was looking for it on TikTok, and then I was like, you know, the number of comments, the number of likes, and all these things. So I started setting, I set the specifics with my guides of like, I will no longer accept only 3 of the same number in a row. Like, I will no longer accept a 555. I will only accept like a 5555. You know, like it has to be 4 or more repeating digits for me, and it has to be like in its own thing. Like where, in my way of how I'm talking about it, I don't want it to be like 15555. Right? Yeah. Like, like I want it to just be the 5555. If that's what we're going for. And so the way that I read that is the way that I read numerology when I read tarot, personally. I just can't... In my mind, the way that those systems work are so... that is one of those things where, like, your belief and your understanding and your communication with your spirits, your deities, your god, or your guides, your gods, or whatever, is what's going to determine all of that stuff. So I don't personally see a lot of stock in, like, looking up and Googling, you know, what does 3939 mean? Unless, like, if somebody says, look at that, you should Google that, I will listen to that one. And that happened one time. I was at my favorite metaphysical shop that's local to here. I went to the counter, I rung up, and my total came out to $39.39. And the cashier said, look at that. You should look up what this is. And I was like, okay, I'm in this place where I know shit happens because I know this store. I like know these people. I know this stuff. You know, I was like, I will take that seriously. I will take that I'm in a place that is like magically activated with other spiritual people. In fact, that this cashier said, look at that. You should look up what that says. And I did. And I was like, I will take that as a legitimate sign. But so I'm personally very discerning and overall largely biased against the number thing. But I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's great for pulling attention. And that's what I really actually use it for most of the time. Instead of saying, there's a 4444 here. Well, actually, I say that. I treat 4444 as like a specific one. Like, that doesn't matter. I'll pick a different one. If I'll use like a 3333, I will take that as like, pay a certain level of attention to the thing where you saw this. Like, if I do see that on TikTok, if I see that like, yeah, so then you do it kind of the way that I do it. Like, if we're looking at it that way, a part of me wants to come back to this another time because I feel like I'm not fully doing this justice because I have so many thoughts and I feel like I need to edit them down a bit. But yeah, just like, I really like using angel numbers as a way of drawing my, like, having my attention drawn to something and that feels more intentional, and then deriving whatever meaning I think it is from there. I'm not a big fan of, you encounter the angel number, you should look up what that angel number means. But yeah. I too just love a badass woman fighting in a Disney movie. I think we all do. It's hard not to. But yeah, so yeah, as I was using it, and I was only like, before I set that like 4-digit stipulation on it and everything, like I felt like I was seeing too many, and I was getting too much noise was what it felt like. And this is the part that I've been trying to get to, of why I have, like, I talk to my guides and my spirits that I'm talking to, and I say, if you're going to communicate with this way, I'm putting these stipulations on it. Because doing it with only 3 digits, I was like, there are too many of these. It's not that weird to have 3 repeating digits on a license plate, you know? I'm like, it would be like, anytime I was on a road trip, I would be like, oh, I've got 3 hours and 33 minutes left, or I'm at 333 miles left, and I'm like, okay, well, every time I'm every time I'm driving over 333 miles, at some point I'll hit 333, at some point I'll hit 222, at some point I'll hit 111. And I was just like, I started to feel really oversaturated with it. So, long story short, I think it's a fun, interesting system to dive into if you really, really want to. I don't put a ton of stock in it personally. I think there are any numbers that are significant to you. If you're talking about significant dates to you, I think that's a little different. Especially because you know me, dates and astrology and everything, right? Like I'll pick at bits like that. But I think that it's a fun thing, but it's a little overblown. Just because there's too many places to see the numbers. There's too many of them. We live in a world of a fuck ton of numbers. If it's not 5555 on the stock on the license plate, it'll be 5555 on the stock market, or it'll be 5555 on the clock when you look at. So again, if I'm like, I did a consult with somebody the other day, and it was 11:11 at my time, 11:11 my time, when we were talking about something significant in the consult. That was one of the ones where I'm like, that draws my attention to, I already knew this was a significant thing, that feels like reinforcement. So, I'll leave it there for now, but I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I think can sort of ultimately boil it down to that. Yeah, I really do think that the 5d10s would be fun, though. I think that would be, put it, again, because it's intentional. You're not just running into them. I said I was going to stop. As with everything, your mileage may vary. Doing something with intention, I think, is going to produce much better results than running into the number on the street. Yeah, like, some house on the street will probably be 111, you know, like, so I just, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's worth paying attention to, but just not, I don't think it's worth obsessing over. All that to say that. 30 days, see repeating numbers all day long. I think that is a sign. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a sign to pay attention and don't look up what the numbers mean. That's what I think is best. Okay. I'm gonna grab this here book. We're gonna do the bibliomancy thing. ASMR. Okay. Y'all know the drill. Do your general energetic affirmation that you would like to be included if you want to be a part of this. Also just gonna ground back down for a second anyway. I also had some Taoism thoughts earlier, and this is making me chuckle because of that, but that's okay. Okay. This is passage 34. Great Tao overflows. To the left, to the right. All beings owe their life to it, and do not depart from it. It acts without a name. It clothes and nourishes all beings, but does not become their master. Enduring without desire, it may be called slight, All beings return to it, but it does not become their master. It may be called immense. By not making itself great, it can do great things. This is just so on the track with where my brain has been all week. I love it. We live in the stuff. Spirit is everywhere. Spirit is everything. We live in spirit. We live in the Tao. The way is like happening all the time, and we are existing in it and moving through it. It's all part of it. The great Tao overflows to the left and to the right. It moves. It's like courses change. Things continue. Ugh. All beings owe their life to it and do not depart from it. It acts without a name. It clothes and nourishes all beings but does not become their master. We are not beholden to spirit. We just live within it and with it. And like, yes. Enduring without desire, it may be called slight. All beings return to it, but it does not become their master. Again, emphasized. Again, it does not become their master. You are not beholden to the magical system that you live in, because everything is magic and it's... Yes! Okay, sorry. It may be called immense. By not making itself great, it can do great things. By not making itself great, it can do great things. You don't need to be some kind of ultimate mega master of some lineage or tradition. That's great if you are, but you don't have to be. You don't have to make yourself great. You do not have to make yourself great to do great things. If anything, not having that pressure and not having that structure and all those things allows you to do more things that are great. I fucking love this one, as you can tell. And it's so on theme. It's just so good. Also, when it says the Tao overflows to the left, to the right, it's literally written that way on the page, and I love it. I love this book. I love this translation. I love this typesetting. I love the art. Y'all know. Y'all get it. To the left, to the right makes me think of a song. I don't know. There's a million songs with that. It's fine. I'm curious what song specifically you're thinking of, or if, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, slide to the left, slide to the right, crisscross. So that's all I'm getting from that. But I love the passage overall. All right, well, thank you guys very much for joining me today. Had a grand old time chatting with everybody. Love talking to y'all. I'm gonna go take a break. Honestly, I'm probably gonna go like play guitar or watch The Last Kingdom. Those are the two things. All of my nights for the last like 4 days have been play guitar for a few hours, watch The Last Kingdom for a few hours, knock out and go sleep. So I'm gonna go do that. Thanks everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I will see you all next time. Night, everybody.